thank you all for coming. I'm Tina McAndrew. I'm the library director, and we're going on a couple years now of this collaboration with Sustainable Stow. We love it. Just some housekeeping. Please keep yourself muted for background noise. And if you'd like to ask a question, feel free to raise your hand or put it in the chat. We definitely review those and answer them either while we go along or at the end. Trying to think, we didn't do this last month. I'm kind of rusty. But anyway, like I said, welcome to tonight. We're going to talk about making recycling work, and I'll hand it off to Sharon for introductions.
Great, thank you. I personally am really excited about this topic. I am advocate of recycling, and I was really excited to find two people who could help us clarify what is good, what is not, what's really true, what's not, around the whole thing. So I first would like to introduce Irene Congdon. She is the Municipal Assistant Coordinator, MAC for all those friends and neighbors, for Central Massachusetts. So what she does is she provides technical assistance to about 75 cities and towns on waste reduction, and she's done this since 2001. Previously, she worked as the Commercial and Institutional Recycling Coordinator for Monroe County in Pennsylvania. Her degree is from Juanita College in Accounting and Environmental Studies, and she's going to be talking about recycling generally, throughout Massachusetts, composting, waste bin items, and introduce us to the state's Facebook website and Facebook page, which have a lot more information. Our second speaker will be Madge Evans, who works with household goods, and it's gone through many names. It's now household goods recycling, I believe, which is what? I've got it wrong. New name. So, but it's in Acton, and it's one of a key areas that started very small. It's been operating for 35 years. Started in the Methodist Church in Acton, and has grown. So it has a huge warehouse just on the other side of Acton, and she'll be mentioning specifically what they collect and tell us a little about that group. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Irene.
Okay, I'm Irene Congdon. I'm the Regional Recycling Coordinator, the MAC, Municipal Assistance Coordinator for Central Mass, and we're going to talk about waste reduction and why it matters. I have quite a bit of slides here, but I think you guys will enjoy this because it gives you a big understanding of what's been going on. And this is, I think, the best updated information that we have right now is a waste characterization done from where our trash goes right now. Millbury's Wheelabrator, the waste energy facility. And we do about 3 of these, 3 different locations throughout the state every 3 years. And as you can see, we did a switch. The last time we did this in 2016, paper was the largest item in the trash. This is what is still in the trash. Organics is now 28%, paper 21%, plastics about 16%, construction and demolition 14%. Other, this is the real trash, is only 9% of our waste. Metals, household hazardous waste, glass, and electronics. So this is what we really want to focus on to get this stuff out of our trash for many reasons, and I'll go through that. Where does our trash go? Right now, in the past couple of years, we've actually closed 4 landfills. When I started here, there was almost a landfill for every town. We now have 6 remaining landfills in Massachusetts, and 5 of them will be at capacity, will be closing their doors in 2031. And there are 7 municipal waste combustion, waste to energy facilities where we burn our trash to make energy. They are at capacity. We cannot add more space in there. So we have no new capacity in the pipeline. The price of trash is going up everywhere around the state, and it is also going other places. So we are now on rail. Our trash goes to Ohio, goes to Georgia, South Carolina every day. We have 15 items that are banned from the waste bans from disposal in Massachusetts. And these are the ones that you're most active that you will find for you guys is the cathode ray tubes, your TV monitors, your laptops, your glass and metal containers, leaf and yard waste, recycled plastic, paper, cardboard, paperboard, your cereal boxes, your plastic bottles, jars and jugs. We could still call them white goods, but they're really the appliances, your washers, your dryers. We just added textiles November 1st and mattresses. We just added November 1st. So those are the things, or organics you really won't see as a resident, but we just moved that one down from a ton of organics to a half a ton of organics per week. If you generate a half a ton, so 1,000 pounds of organics, food waste a week, it cannot go into the trash. Our goal, this is where we keep on going here, the sustainability committee, people are looking at ways to do this. We want to make sure we eliminate our need for certain items. We reduce our items, we reuse our items, we recycle it. Then we think about energy recovery and then disposal. So as the state, we've been focusing a lot on recycling for many years. And we're now moving up this chain to really focus on this. Material management and climate change do go together, and a lot of people sometimes miss this because this is the EPA guidelines. It's a little old, but it still is the same thing. The provision of goods and the provision of food, as you could tell, we have a lot of food in our waste stream. You know, this is a big thing of that we have to have material management policies to help promote our climate change reduction activities and policies. This is the National Geographic site. I just wanted to kind of show you this is just, oh my goodness, that they do a global search, and it is that how much of resources are used and how much is wasted right away. It's just, you took it out of the ground and you put it back in the ground as trash. It's just amazing. 2/3 is wasted. And then we get to the durable and the reusable items is so low. So that's something that we're trying to change. How we can prevent that. I know I'm going through this quick because I think you guys can handle this, and then I can answer your questions and get into the fun documents here. We do have it's a 10-year plan. We go from 2020 to 2030. And we have a master plan. We want to reduce our waste by 30%, and we're using the 2018 as the baseline. We want to reduce our toxicity. We want to help implement producer responsibility. I'll share a little bit about that later on, extended producer responsibility of the manufacturer actually being a part of the solution. And it has been going on, but it's been behind the scenes. And how we can get it more implemented here in Massachusetts. Envisioning a zero waste future, increasing source reduction, reuse, and donation. So that goes right in what we're going to talk about later with the Home Goods Ministry, or new name, Home Goods. And we want to we are reducing our mattresses. We're reducing our bulky items from the trash. So we're trying to look at those to get more recycling going on and reuse. I don't know if you guys have seen this before. Some of our libraries have now, especially since COVID, have added tool libraries of things. And so that they're taking on new things, as well as the clinics. I think you guys are very involved in that because of Stow and Bolton You guys have had some great repair events, and we're always looking at ways to get that moving forward. But you know what's taking on, especially since COVID, refillable container places. I've seen more come up at farmers markets, some different stands. Worcester just added a big company that is you bring in your container and fill it there and take all your stuff out that you don't need to deal with plastic anymore. Especially a lot of us have our reusable mugs and cups that we've been using to support reuse. Sharing. These platforms have been going on. The Free Cycle, I want to say, is already over 25 years old, and has gotten a lot of people. Like, everybody thinks of, I want to sell stuff, and that's good. Sell your items. It gives it a little value, but if you can do Free Cycle, and like, you're putting it out on the curb, but sometimes you don't have that many people passing your house. So if you put it on one of these things like the Free Cycle or the Buy Nothing, I don't remember if Stow got into, if you guys have your own, but we have a good giant one with Groton. It used to be Groton free stuff, and then it went to Buy Nothing, Groton free stuff. And it pretty much goes from Ashby to Littleton, but I don't know if some Stow people get onto that group as well. But I think there's like 4,000 people on that group. What else do we do? Of course, we do a lot of these things. We want to make sure items that can be used. And sometimes it's just getting it to the right people. I always find it's timing. I've gone through the process myself of family downsizing houses and selling houses. And it's unbelievable. When you are moving, the amount of trash that goes out in a house, it's actually for building a house. A building of a new house is the equivalent of the amount of trash that you generate in your whole lifetime. So it is just unbelievable when we think of, oh, I'm reducing and recycling at home, and my whole life is, I'm looking at what I put in my household trash in my day-to-day. But when you move, you have a big footprint that you are throwing out when you get a dumpster. And then when your house is being demolished, or you're building a new one, you're actually still creating the same amount of trash that you would in your entire lifetime. So we're really trying to get people to think differently about building and moving. It's one of these things about education that we're trying to get people to just take a moment and think about what you're throwing out, because especially when you're moving, a lot of these things can go to a charity. Like my dad was moving, we called and had the charity come and picked up and said, can you come like every month and just kind of pick up more stuff? We're just going to put the bags out here of the clothes and the household items and just keep on having them come. But when people don't always think of, if you're demolishing the house, you still have wood and doors and windows and flooring that a lot of other people could use. And if you cut the different things the different ways, they can be used again and again. So it just takes a little training and some time. How else can we reduce our waste? Food waste. That is our number one thing in Massachusetts. And it is unbelievable of how much we dispose of. And isn't this crazy? We're throwing out so much. And then we have so many people that are food insecure. It's just unbelievable. And then we have the misconception of the labels. So some labels, people say, oh, best to use by, sell by. A lot of those can go a lot longer, a week, 2 weeks, month before it really needs to be thrown out. Or if you are not using the meat right away, put it in the freezer. And to save some of these items before they're just thrown out. Food waste reduction, like I said, we have a ban on if you generate a half a ton of food waste. A lot of us don't have that, but your supermarket's already doing composting. The most bigger restaurants, the some work establishments, schools are thinking about it, but we have already communities that are having, we've done backyard composting forever. So if you can get compost bins of, and you can make your own. And then we also have different companies that are coming around. I know in Stow, I think you have Black Earth and City Compost that are people, if you're having parties, or they can just come weekly, monthly, or when needed, you had a big party and they can come and pick up your food waste. But we also have sites that people could do drop off. Air is one, and Groton, but they're for residents only. Groton is open to non-residents, but I think that's a little far for Stow residents to go to Groton. But if you're having a big party, that might be something to look into. Clothing, I think, we've just done that waste. That item is no longer supposed to be put in the trash unless it's wet and moldy. But if it has a stain and a rip, it is okay. Or out of date. People are like, oh, nobody else will use that. It will be transformed. The big thing I want you to be aware of is 80 pounds per person is being disposed of as trash. So even though we have the bins everywhere, we have events that take the textiles. We have companies that will come to your house and pick them up. We are still having 80 pounds of textiles. So we want you to know it is okay if you only have one shoe, one glove, put it in the bin. If it's stained and ripped, has some paint on it, it's okay. 45% of it will be reused as apparel, but the other 30% will be cut up. So it's okay if it has those stains, they'll make them into rags. So the t-shirts and the towels and the sweatshirts, you know, it's really okay. They want it to be that has the stains in it. The others will be repurposed 20% as the contact it is, and they'll cut up like the socks and underwear. It gets cut up and becomes insulation. A lot of things people don't realize, padding and stuff like that. In your car, you have various padding. So they put these fiber products everywhere. Only 5% is really unusable. So it's really, we want to get the word out. Any type of textiles. I'm working on a quilting project. I'm cleaning out somebody's house. Just as long as it's not wet and moldy, we want it. Contaminations rates vary, and increasing processing, it makes it cost, increases the cost to process it when we have more of these items that cannot be put into the recycling bin. A lot of us have grown up that it was okay to put certain items in. Since 2019, 2018, when China closed, a lot of the markets changed. And so we had to like relearn. And if you haven't gone on, I'm going to show you this site in a little bit, recyclesmartma.org. But you can write that down and I'll get back to it in a moment. And here is we have a good recycling thing. Here, this is our state, all throughout the state, all of Massachusetts. These are the items that can be put into the recycling bins. It doesn't matter if it's at home, if you're using the town program, you're using a private hauler like you and Stow have various haulers. These are the things that can be put into the recycling bin. These are the things that cannot. We don't want bagged items. We don't want bagged recyclables or trash. Just some people try to put their plastic bags in plastic bags and then put them in the recycling bin. They can go back to the retailer. So go to any of the different things, Walmart to the supermarkets, they have containers for them. We want people to rinse it stuff. We don't want liquids in, empty all containers. I said clothes before, but not in your recycling bin, because this goes through conveyor belts. And so clothes and bags and tanglers and hose and electronics just wrap all the equipment up. So somebody has to get in there and take it out. So these go back to the clothing dumps containers, or they get picked up by the clothing donations. And the electronics the wires can go back with electronics, but not in the recycling bin. I want to show you, this is what happens to plastic in Massachusetts. It is happening, and I know you've seen a lot of headlines that, oh, plastic recycling is dead, it's worse, it's not good. Plastic is real. It is happening in Massachusetts. We have over 9 MRFs that are collecting 638,000 tons a year. And I'm going to show you where they are in Massachusetts. So each of these companies are spending a lot of money to make sure that these materials are being processed, because they do have value, but they just change. So we're over here, 495, about here. Most of your stuff would go to Bill Ricca. This is Auburn. And so we have already 8, 9 of the MRFs around the state. So for Central Mass, we're pretty good. We have the one in Westboro, E.L. Harvey, and Auburn, and then here in Bill Ricca. So we're pretty covered that way. I feel bad. Everybody here is going to the Springfield MRF. Let me see if it'll let me go back. Okay. And I was saying is they do go through updated technology. So Springfield MRF just got new infrared technology to identify different types of plastics. Our plastics recyclers, the companies, the MRF, the material recovery facilities, which I just showed you, the 9 of them, that's where your material will go after it gets to the recycling. From your bin, it'll go there and be processed, and it'll just be baled, and then it will go to a plastic recycler who will wash it, grind it, pelletize it, and then make new products. So it'll become new packaging, houseware, textiles, automotive parts, agricultural products to make new items. Where things go, this is kind of interesting, is we have the whole state, and it's on the Recycle Smart page, which is kind of fun. Is there's so much on this site, but I'm going to show you right here of where things go. Let's see if I can get, bring this down more. There we go. Come on. Up. Now it's going too far. Bring back the state. I'm trying to go up. Okay, so you can, now you can see it here. So you can click on different things. Our raw materials come in, and then it goes to a manufacturer. I got the box in here, to the retailer, to the consumer. It being collected by your hauler, and then here's the different MRFs of how it's grabbed. And that's kind of what I was just showing you, is that it'll bring you to the different MRF, and it will show you for different communities, we know where your stuff is going to, but because you are in Stow, you have private subscription. It will not show you, it'll just say it's a variety of companies that you're using, but I can show you. And so some places that are local, like Leominster, is taking the recycled plastics. We have paper mills that will take different items. So we have some things that are really local, and then we have other places that will take things all over the United States. Since 2018, we are not putting anything into going to other countries. Everything before was not going to. In 2000, if you hear news, oh my goodness, everybody was taking everything to China. Massachusetts was only taking 25% of our stuff was going to China. And now we're using all domestic materials. So this is the Recycle Smart MA site. It has so much fun. I would recommend all of you guys to take the quiz to test your knowledge on what can be recycled. This is the guide I kind of showed you before. If you know people that need different languages, we can have them in 10 different languages. that they can see it. And here's the different languages you can. Okay, that's so common. So it's kind of what I was showing to you, but then it'll tell people this is our recyclopedia, but this is just a link on the form. So I'm gonna go back to the site here. I think. So besides, okay, besides the guide, there is on top here, beyond the bin resources. And this you can put in textiles. I know we're going to be having a presenter here soon talking about the home goods. This is something to make sure it's in here. And so we can post in here if it's furniture. And so furniture should have, let's just do a quick check to see if it is in there. And so we try to have things from all over the state of where people can take various items. And so some things, 31, we do not have that in there yet. So I think what we'll try to do is talk about that, just to add what can be collected at the Home Goods Ministry program. Resources, we have so many things of videos and newsletters of how you can go on here. And like I said, there's stuff to post on social media. They're ready to go. You can just kind of like them. The recyclopedia can be embedded, and you can post things in there like cups. Newsletters, you can have the newsletter, just sign up for that. And just keep on sharing of hey, I don't want these things in the site. I'm seeing some styrofoam, especially you're going to have the styrofoam event in Bolton. I don't know if you guys can participate in that, but I know Bolton has a styrofoam event that they plan every year. So there's just a lot of information here. The whole point of extended producer responsibility is to make sure that items are designed for being recycled. Sometimes they put something in like a color or a layer that makes it unable to be scanned, separated, processed, or made into a new product. So sometimes talking to that manufacturer. There is in Massachusetts, we have the Product Stewardship Institute, which is over 25 years old. And they've been talking with different companies throughout. So they help to end all of us getting phone books. Do you remember when we all got phone books for every part of the town? Even if you didn't live in that town, you'd get the newest next city overs phone book. They say, put it online. We got all that stuff online now. You don't need to keep printing that. And then just different technologies that have been happening in the background and helping to get mattress recycling going on, and getting that, and paint is working as well, that we want that to be recycled versus just disposed of at the end of life, because it can be easily recycled. We need to make a shift. Instead of a linear economy, make, dispose to a circular economy, and we're working throughout that to eliminate waste. We're trying to do the model of restoration, employing reuse and repair to minimize. So this is just a fun page. I think as sustainability people, we're always looking at ways to reduce and reuse, repair, rebuild, refurbish. And I always find I'm actually wearing, my husband made my necklace with me for Christmas, and it's actually a fork. So an old fork redesigned into a necklace, which I think is a lot of fun. So this is the site again, and my contact information if you want to get a hold of me. So I will take any questions.
Thank you, Irene. We have just a couple questions in the chat that I'd like to say. where is the closest fabric recycling bin to Stow? And we had one response said they like to use Planet A bin at Maynard High School. Do you know of any others?
If it would be great if this site was kept on going, that it should be on here. I don't think it's you can probably check around the school. I want to say at Neshoba School, I want to say has it. We normally try to have it. I think you used to have one at that town hall, but I want to say it was taken away.
Right, we don't have one at Town Hall.
Okay.
I do know that Hudson has a textile recycling. But I'm not sure about, I think it's near their school. The other question that came up is, all plastics are recyclable. Is that correct? Or are there some that are excluded?
Yes, so we're just talking about ones that have caps on them. So if it has a cap on it, this is consumer plastics that you would have in your kitchen or bathroom. We're talking about tubs and jars and jugs, tubs, and jars. So those kinds of things. Yeah. Some events we would have for bulky plastics. The town of Townsend is an open site. Non-residents can go there. I know it's a distance, but we do take all the other types of plastic. So it would be like the crates, the play toys, some bulkier plastic items. We have it on the website that when you can take that, you can talk to your, it'd be nice to have a zero waste event. I know Littleton was having some before COVID, and we've been having one in Shirley in October. We just had one and we moved the date a little bit to November this past year, but our goal is to be in November, the end of October. We haven't had it in a while, but we try to get that bulky plastic back. It's depends on the market and the cost. We were having styrofoam at those events, but then the styrofoam costs went from $300 to $1,200 event just to have the truck there. So it just didn't make economic sense anymore. So it always depends on the market of what type of materials can be recycled. But the basic items that you see there can be recycled.
Okay, so there is some confusion about, we've all been learning about the numbers, in the triangle, the 1, 2, 5, and 6, don't get recycled. Are you saying that the numbers don't count anymore?
The numbers don't count anymore. They were really for the manufacturer. They were really never for the consumer. I mean, as we could tell, we would all be using our eyeglasses and trying magnifying glasses and trying to look on the back because they really weren't made for consumers. They were just telling you what the product was made of. And right now, because our program we use carts and it's going on conveyor belts, everything has to be kind of uniform size. It's very hard to do those bulky plastic unless you're using it at drop off.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to just clarify is when you say plastics with a cap, do you recycle it with the cap or without the cap?
With the cap. So you empty the contents, rinse it out. I mean, you wouldn't rinse out your detergent bottle. You can just put the cap back on and put that into the recycling bin. So
Okay.
Peanut butter jar, I'd say, if you know anybody that has dogs, bring over the peanut butter jars and they'll get all cleaned up and you will have a best friend in the world for them to clean up your peanut butter jars.
Okay, I have one other question I want to ask, and then I want to get to Madge. And that is, what about old crib mattresses that are no longer recycled, usable anymore? Can I bring an old crib mattress that's not usable anymore? And and I'll let you answer it and then I'll turn to Madge because I sure Madge has a response to that.
Yeah, if you can reuse it to somebody else, that would be great. I just also saw a great idea for mattresses, especially those little mattresses, is making doggy beds out of them. I think that is great if you kind of put a cover on top of it and a nice doggy bed. It really is trash. We have like the new ban, and we kind of said mattresses, and then the cribs are, that's a hard item. I'd prefer you to, I just went off of the site. Like we have some mattresses that are like definitely a no. Oh, you know, I have on the top thing, it has the Recyclopedia. We're just gonna have inflatable mattresses. I have. Yeah, regular mattresses need to be recycled. The best place I would say is talk to Midge. If we can have them reused, that's the best place to go. We do have on state contract in Lowell and in Fitchburg, and $22 in Fitchburg, I feel, is the best deal I have seen. If you can bring your mattresses there.
Okay, we have a couple more clarifying questions on plastics, but I'm going to hold those to the end. And I'd like to bring Madge on board. Okay, Madge.
Okay. So thank you for inviting me to talk a little bit about household goods. And yes, our name has changed. So it's just showing how long Sharon has known of us, that she still wants to add recycling ministries. It began some 30 plus years ago with simply Ira and Barbara getting a request through their churches for furnishings to allow a family they knew who just come from El Salvador, had a place to live and nothing to put in the place to make it a home. They appealed to their church communities. They got so much goods that that family was taken care of. And instead of saying stop, the Smiths said, let's talk to the housing authority and see if other people in need. And that became a two-way exchange. They did all the work. It's how I first knew about household goods. Had a couch I wanted to get rid of. They turned up with their truck, took it away, and knew of a family who needed a couch. It has grown since then to a huge organization in its own building. And that I hope, how many of you may have known of it, known or donated or worked for us already, that I may be preaching to the choir entirely. But if you will allow me, I will take a few minutes to describe our mission and then show how it links very much to conservation and recycling. So Household Goods would say of its mission, it's to help people make a home. People in need who can't afford to buy just the basic things. They may have finally gotten housing and now they have an empty space. They may be sleeping on the floor. So Household Goods is that link. We serve over 2,000 families a year, which means about 7,000 people. And those people are referred to us through about 150, 200 different social service agencies. So when they come to us, we don't need to ask them any questions about what their situation is, what their need is, what their justification is for coming to us for free household furnishings. We welcome them and say, here's what we have today. You're free to choose what you want. And we do have limits on some items, but otherwise, come shop in our big showroom. That showroom is in Acton. If you're headed north on 27 and just past the turnoff to the post office, it's the next driveway to the left. And what happens, that the only cost to the client, as we call them, would be they have to provide the transportation to take the things they've chosen to their new apartment or house. We cannot deliver the way Barbara and Ira Smith did in the very beginning. So what do we take? Basically, we're dealing with furniture, everything from couches to chairs, to mattresses, to bed frames, dining room tables, small tables, and then appliances. So microwaves and toasters and irons and coffee makers, lamps and fans and heaters and glassware and silverware and dishes. So it's the tangible items that one would need. What don't we take? We don't take clothing, we don't take food, we don't take toys. And there are other things we don't take that you might think were logical we should, but we have still a limited amount of space, and we're trying to focus on what we take for what clients most need and most commonly will take from us. So over the course of that year, when we're serving 7,000 people, 2,000 plus families, we're giving out about 60,000 items, all of which have come to us as donations, been processed and checked for safety and usability and durability. We don't want things that are going to break or fall apart on them in a short period of time. So you can imagine there's a tremendous flow of material in and out of household goods. How does all that happen? Well, there are exactly 5 people that are fully paid. And actually, we're hiring. If anybody you know would like to become our new volunteer coordinator, it's a full-time position, Tuesday through Saturday. And somebody who is good with people and good with detail, because keeping track of all 600 volunteers, some of us try to make it a job, and I go 3 days a week, the same time, but I'm a volunteer. You know, there are times when I can't go, times when I'm traveling. So somebody is keeping track and trying to be sure that essential positions are filled every day. That's the job that's open right now. Hopefully you know somebody who might be interested. So how could you help? Well, where we connect to the theme of reduction, obviously, is you have an item in your house, or you're cleaning out a house to helping somebody who's downsizing, or a house they have to sell and empty completely. Those items which we can use need to come to household goods. I'm delighted there's so much emphasis now on recycling and reusing. I hope it doesn't further challenge our donation flow, because right now it's winter. It typically is the low season for donations, but there's no low season for client need. So we're forever trying to be ahead of the game and have some storage space so that we can be able to continue to supply things through the winter. Spring, summer, we get more than we can store easily, and there's a different challenge there, but a happy one. I was going to emphasize that go to our website, which is simply householdgoods.org, all one word, no and details. And I will see if I can screen share and show you the website, and just give you a chance to ask me some questions. And good luck, because I'm not very smart at this, but we'll see if it works. So I'm going to.
While you're doing that, Madge, can I ask a question? Can
Certainly,
pillows,
sure.
can
Yeah.
pillows be donated?
Can what?
Pillows? Pillows.
Pillows? So
Yeah.
let me just say a word. Thank you, Sharon. Pillows that are absolutely clear of any stains. So really, we're fussy about pillows. Same for mattresses, that there must be no stain on the sleeping surface of the mattress. It may just be the cup of coffee you spilled when somebody kindly brought you breakfast in bed. But if there's a visible stain, we will have to reject it. Same for the quality of upholstered furniture. If your cat, like mine, is allowed to pick the furniture because it's their home too, I can't donate it because of the combination of picks and probably cat hair I can't get off completely. If your dishes are chipped, we will not give them to clients. That we're trying very hard to be sure that what the client is getting is something that they would be proud to own, that we would be glad to give them, or that you would be happy to give to your son or daughter who was furnishing their first apartment. And that's always a judgment call, both for the donor and for us when you bring things to us. So if you have a question about whether we can accept something, call us up, send us a picture. We'd be happy to save you the effort of bringing it, only to have us say, gee, we're sorry, thanks for the kind thought, but that's not something we can take. And as Irene commented, what we do take in, because maybe we haven't unpacked the box thoroughly, we haven't been able to inspect small items carefully, and even larger items that we find later incomplete or broken beyond our ability to repair them. Our trash costs are becoming a major expense to us because we finally do have to put things into the trash.
Can household goods take large lamps without shades?
We will, yes.
Okay.
Yep. And we will take shades without lamps.
Oh, great. If you don't mind, there are two other questions. The plastics is a big topic, and there are two questions around plastic, and I know that would probably go to Irene around plastics that I wanted to make sure got captured. What should take out plastics, the take out clamshells? If you cut off the lid, can you recycle them?
Are you asking me?
That's Irene.
I mean,
asking Irene.
Can I show the website of household goods before we get back to Irene?
Okay.
Assuming that I'm clever enough to do this, we'll see. Okay, I think I did it in the wrong order. Let me say share screen. Come on. That's what I want to share. There it goes. Oh, I'm so smart. Maybe I'll learn how to Zoom after all. So this is the opening of the household goods website, which, as I said, is simply householdgoods.org. And you will see in the headings much more detail about donations. And right now, donations, our preferred, of course, is you can bring it to us 3 days a week. We're open for donations to drive in, and that's Saturday morning, Tuesday morning, and Thursday morning. We will unload the car for you. But if you can't bring it to us, we have a limited number of drivers as volunteers who can take our trucks out, and Stow is one of the towns we will pick up at. We only will do a pickup for you if there's one of our large essential items as part of your donation. So that would mean a bed, a bureau, a dining room table. There's also, you would see if you go to the donate part on the website now, brand new to us, and we're very excited about it, a group called Resupply that is a group of veterans that are now picking up things from a house. They will pick up anything. They have a charge for you, costs more money, and they will bring and let us pick out of what they've collected what we can use. And then they will take it to other agencies. The other plus of coming to donate for us is there's an epilepsy bin, 2 or 3 of them actually, where you can donate clothing. And there's also a bin for books, which will get resold, or if they really are in terrible shape, just recycled as paper, so that you can do 3 kinds of donations in one trip to household goods. Then, just to give you a little flavor of the energy of this group, there's this very short video. There's no sound, and it goes fast, but I'll just show this to you. So that's just, as I say, a very quick run through. If you were to be interested in volunteering, go to the website. There are places where you can sign up for an orientation. One is by Zoom and one is in person. Obviously, we need just plain old donations of money in order to pay our staff, run our trucks, heat the building, keep the lights on, dispose of the trash. And the other thought is some people do a local drive in their community, either say, we're going to rent a truck. How many different households have a few items they'd like to get to household goods? Or a community group that comes as a group to volunteer. So we have the students from Dana Hall are coming every Saturday, different kids, about 10 kids a weekend come over with an adult. Church groups come. So there are many ways to be involved and contribute to household goods. And as I said, the obvious link here is a piece you didn't need or couldn't use anymore. Instead of going into the trash, comes and extends its useful life for a family that has real need for it. And that's not only saving things from the trash, but it's saving production. You may have bought a new one to replace, but the family in need didn't have to buy one for themselves and have the third one end up in the trash. So it does indeed reduce waste and reduce production of new materials. So I call it a three-way win when people make donations to household goods. So other questions?
Thank you, Madge. The other thing I wanted to mention is Household Goods does accept pictures. Is that correct?
We take frame pictures, yes.
Which is always a nice thing to know, because that's always a hard thing to think about where to recycle.
And again, size. Think about the fact that most people are furnishing an apartment. Some are not allowed to hang things on the wall, so that can become an issue. But the very large picture, the very large mirror, if you go to our website, you will see a list of what we take and the dimensions required or the exceptions of things we can't take. So
question that came up is, how about hospital mattress in new condition?
a hospital mattress, meaning what? The mattresses we take need to be standard bed size. And I'm not sure what they mean by hospital. We won't take air mattresses. We can't take water beds.
It's one that moves, so it's easy to be moved. So if you have a hospital bed in your house, like we've had different grandparents living with us, and so they have a hospital bed that they're utilizing. So then they have a mattress. It's just kind of like a regular mattress. It just moves more. It's a little more flexible. It's a really nice mattress.
If it's simply more flexible, the answer would be yes. If it's jointed to move for the hospital beds that might say no, but that's would be perfect to call somebody, and Mike, who is the head of our that aspect, could say a definite sure. Mattresses we are desperately short of, and I worry that the mattress recycling and so on is part of what's cutting into it. But we finally had to raise money from donations to buy mattresses, to have something to give clients.
Mm. Okay, there are a couple more questions in the chat, but I'd like to also open it up for other people if they want to raise their hand. So these are questions for both Madge and Irene, to just sort of close the loop on getting clear about plastics. The one question was about the takeout plastics. So if you get a food, you know, a meal from a takeout place, can that be recycled? You know,
Yeah.
you can?
I'm going to tell you. So we have the Recyclopedia. I put it in the chat, is recyclesmartma.org. And we have the Recyclopedia. You put it in there and then it says what type of takeout container. So if it's black plastic, it will be trash. If it is a clear plastic lid, that can be recycled. If it's takeout paper, if it's takeout plastic, the whole thing, take out aluminum. So it goes through the whole thing of what it can be. So when you just say it's a takeout plastic container, we'll say if it can be recycled, if it's like a shell, you know, you think of a clam shell, like you had a salad in it, then that can be recycled. Or if it's a Tupperware container, then that can be recycled. As long as it's clear. If it has other colors in it, then it would be trash. But it's really nice with the Recyclopedia that you can put it in there, and it has over 700 items. So it can be very specific of like, well, the lid is clear and the base is black, you know, and then we'll say the clear part can be recycled, but the black part can't.
Okay.
It's just because we're on conveyor belts and the technology can't see black is the color of the conveyor belt.
Okay, there was still confusion about the plastic bottles. Can you only recycle them with the caps, or can you recycle them without?
We want you, if you don't need to have the cap on, if you don't have the cap, but we prefer the cap because we can recycle the cap itself. It's typically a heavier plastic. We don't want you to have them separated. Like, I don't want a container full of caps because it is on conveyor belts, and those caps will just fall through the cracks and become trash. So if they're not on, then just throw them out.
Okay. So it is 8 o'clock, but I will entertain a couple more questions if people want to raise their hands to ask either Madge and Irene about recycling questions.
I have something for Madge, if I can, just to share. I think she's doing a great job over there, and I'm so happy that they've been going on for 38 years. I think that's just awesome. There is a new company, I think it's because of COVID, of everybody just being stressed out. But we have now 2 different types of companies that are forming all over the place. One is Smash It. We have it in Worcester and in Avon. And Rage Cage is in New Hampshire and just now started in Fitchburg. So all those dishes and cups that have little chips and glass, that if she gets frames and glass in frame that has like a little cut in it or whatever, that she's spending a lot of money on to dispose of as trash, they will come either to take it for free or they might even pay to take it. So
Wow.
because they're looking, like if you get a lamp that has like a little crack in it, so all ceramic pieces, all glass pieces, they want that. And I think they'll even take other TVs and things. So they'll recycle things at the end, or just dispose of them properly. But
Can I
Smash,
have them call you to get that information then?
just look it up, Google it, Smash It, or
Smash it?
Smash. It's for people to literally have a date night to smash
Smash it,
things.
yes.
And then Rage Cage. And
Put that
they
in the
just started
chat.
another rage in Fitchburg. I just saw it on Facebook.
And I'm sorry, a rage cage as in I'm angry and I'm throwing things in a cage. Okay. Thank you.
The newest date night activity is, and
That's,
so
that's great to
rather
know
than-
because that's a lot of our trash.
and it's very heavy. So that
Yes.
could really move a lot of material. And if it goes to another purpose and makes it smaller and they pay the bill to dispose of it, that's really good. But thank you so much for all that you do.
Wow.
Great. All right, if there are no more questions, I really would like to thank our two presenters. So thank you, Irene, and thank you, Madge. This has been so helpful. And happy recycling, everybody. And thank you, Tina, for again hosting our library series.
Welcome.
Well, thank you for
Oh, John says
inviting
John
us.
has one question. Oh, he's clapping. Okay. Clapping. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.